I think this is possibly the ultimate free background, or at least recycled background, because I was actually going to throw this stuff in the bin, but that looks pretty good. I'm pleased with this. Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers. And this video is all about these things, flashes, specifically high-speed sync flash, and why you'd need it in a small home studio. Now, I've got a bit of tidying up to do, but whilst I'm doing that, click on the bell button and the subscribe icon. Reverse that and you will never miss a video right here on Adorama TV. Right, let's get our background sorted, let's get a light set, let's get a model in, let's get shooting. To help me out today, I've got the amazing Chloe. Chloe's going to be the model for this photo session, and because this is about high-speed sync, the first thing we actually need is a flash. This is definitely a flash-based thing, and the flash I'm using as my key light, my main light, is a Flashpoint Explore 300. We'll talk more about flash as we go through. The next thing you need is actually something to make out of focus, a background that has some texture to it, something that is going to look blurry. In this case, I've made my own. This is just bits of torn up old background paper that I've hung like this, which I think is going to look quite nice. Then we need to work out, well, why? Why do you need high-speed sync? How does it add value to you in the studio? And the easiest way to do that is to actually show you. So I've got my flash already set up for f8. Let's take a photo at my standard flash settings. So that's 250th of a second, f8 at ISO 200 for my particular camera setup. Okay, Chloe, quick test photo. Here we go. And end result is lovely. We've got great light on Chloe, we've got light on the background, and when we have a closer look at the background, although it's not sharp, it is clear what it is. So in this case, I would like a blurrier background, and that's where high-speed sync can come to the rescue. So the lens I'm using for this has a very fast aperture. I've actually changed my aperture and just my aperture to f1.4, and the aperture affects the blurriness of the background. It should go a lot more blurry. However, this isn't going to be quite as simple as just that. Let me show you why. Okay, Chloe, here we go, quick test photo. Now when I take this picture, at first glance it looks okay. It may be a little bit on the bright side, but the background is blurry like I wanted. But actually what I've got here are multiple lights at work. I've got the flashlight lighting Chloe, but because I'm using such a wide open aperture, I'm also recording the room lights at the same time. And I can show you that by asking Chloe to do something just a little bit strange. Chloe, can you wave your hands really frantically for me? Here we go. Now when Chloe does that, I get the freezing power of flash, but because we have the room lights, which are on for the entire duration of my shutter being open, they're slightly blurred. End result is not the sharpest picture, no control over the lights, and I can prove it even more by turning the flash off. And this is a really important test. I've turned the flash off completely. Here is what the camera is recording with my f1.4 aperture. Here we go. And even without the flash firing, I'm actually getting quite a good exposure on Chloe. But remember, this is light I have no control over, and it's a different color of light than my flash, so when they're mixed together, you might have noticed a slightly strange color cast. There are two possible ways we could get around this problem. The first one is to turn all of the room lights off completely, including the modeling lamp, which will have an impact on the exposure. The downside of doing that should be fairly obvious. It's kind of dangerous and no one can see what's going on anymore. The other way is with high-speed sync flash, and here are the 3 steps you need to make that work. The first one is to gain control of the room light exposure, and that means changing your shutter speed. So nothing else is going to change, still on f1.4, still on ISO 200, but my shutter speed I've dialed up to 4,000th of a second. Let's take the same photo again and see what we get this time without the flash firing. So this is just the ambient light in the room that the camera is recording. No flash, no picture. That's the most important part of this process. Step number 2 is to turn the flash transmitter into high-speed sync mode. Now on my transmitter from Flashpoint, it's simply a matter of pressing the sync button and a little H and a lightning bolt appears. That's high-speed sync mode on. You might also have to turn it on your flashes as well. Luckily with the Flashpoint flashes, I don't have to, but your mileage may vary. Step 3 is to work out the power of the flash. You could use TTL flash. I like to use manual flash. I'm going to start with my flash at 1/16th power, roughly in the middle of its power range. Let's take a test photo, see what we get. Okay, Chloe, here we go. Quick little test photo first. And the end result is okay, but perhaps just a little bit dark. And remember, this is only the light from the flash that the camera can see. I'd like to increase my flash power by 1 stop of light, and I'm going to do that by just changing the exposure here on my transmitter by 1 stop from 1/16th power to 1/8th power. Okay, Chloe, here we go. And that's it. I've got my exposure pretty much bang on. Okay, I think we're ready to take a few photos. So, Chloe, if you're ready, let's take a few photos like this. Okay, here we go. Because the depth of field is so shallow, I'm relying on the camera's face and particularly eye detect to make sure that I get focus exactly where I want it. Now it's really important that if you change anything, including your camera settings, the position of the light, or the position of your model, you need to repeat step 3 again. In this case, I've moved the light to the side, which should give me a little bit more contrast and shadows and a bit more drama in the photos. High-speed sync flash with a single flash is surprisingly straightforward, but when it comes to adding multiple flashes, well, it's actually not much more difficult. The key to this working is to make sure that your flash that you are using with your main flash is from the same family of flashes, because high-speed sync flash is dependent both on the camera that you're using and the flash brand. So this is the Flashpoint Evolve 200. It has high-speed sync flash and it'll work from the same transmitter. But to tell it apart from the other flash, I put a little blue gel on it, and this is going to be a background light. So I'm going to pop this around the back of Chloe like this, and we'll just aim it straight at the background. Now this is a independently controlled light, so my main light is on group A, my background light is on group B, and the process for working out the exposure is exactly the same. Multiple flashes, it's always a good idea to do one light at a time, so I've turned the key light off. Let's just have a look at the background light. It's on 1/64th power. A quick test photo. Here we go, Chloe. And the end result is, well, a sort of silhouette, but you can see the background light looks great. It's working perfectly. I'm happy with that. And if I turn the key light on, this is how the two lights look together. I still have great light on Chloe. I now have a separate light on the background, but I've maintained that nice shallow depth of field, the whole purpose for using high-speed sync flash. And that's all there is to it. You can keep adding multiple flashes for as many as you like, but I think for today, 2 flashes is enough. So Chloe, are you ready? Let's take a few photos like this. Here we go. And if you're thinking maybe I'm using the fast shutter speed to freeze the movement, that's not actually the case here because we've removed the ambient light from the picture. It's actually the short flash duration that's doing that for me. High-speed sync, it really is as easy as just pressing a button, but I've gone through this fairly slowly because if it's the first time you've used it, you want to know all the ins and outs. The great thing is you can take the same skills, the same technology out of the studio and use it for different things. For example, high-speed sync on location for sports or dance will freeze action and maintain ambient light. You can use it to sort of overpower the sunshine sometimes, but we've got videos on those very subjects right here on Adorama TV, which reminds me, don't forget to click on the bell icon so you never miss any of the videos. And of course, I'm sure you already have, and if not, why not? Because click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.